What's up, my XRP brothers from another mother and my cute XRP sisters? This is Rob with the ROB007 channel coming to you poolside from beautiful Venice Island. And we are having the fine folks at Caleb and Brown, Jim Balzini on today to answer your questions, give us updates. So it's super exciting to have him on board this channel for the second time. A lot of you guys watched the first interview. A lot of you guys are new to my channel, and we're going to dig down to the exciting stuff that they are doing. And I got to tell you, I've known these guys for a while. Absolutely visionaries, my humble opinion, what they have put together. I met them, the founders, one of the founders out at XRP Vegas, and just absolutely blown away. So they are really acting much like Ripple. Ripple plays by the rules, so they're doing everything very conservatively in this space because it is the Wild West of crypto. And also I kind of consider like Ripple as well. They're playing 5D chess and 5D chess to win. So, and I want to do a shout out to Donnie up in beautiful Atlantic Beach. No, Jack's Beach. Maybe it's one or the other up near Jacksonville. Absolutely pleasure to meet you. Really kind of cool. I love it when I meet people and they find this asset being XRP and then they study it and then they go in with, they pounce on the opportunity, best word to describe it. So yeah, look forward to meeting you in person, Donnie, in the near future. And also a disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. This channel is for educational entertainment purposes only. And thank you as always that we head up towards 8,000 subs. But indeed, if you are new to this channel, if you would hit the subscribe button to subscribe, the bell for notification, that like button, tap it, slap it, whatever you are feeling for a hump day. And then if you do Twitter, follow me at ROB007 on Twitter. Love my XRP Twitter family. And so, yes, also just some of the other things just to be updated. iTrust link is below. You no longer have to use the code. You don't have to use the code anymore. The link's in the description. And again, we described them. I'll have updates on that, but that's for your Roth IRA as well as for custody and also Kraken. Again, they have a nice little sign-up bonus. iTrust is 100, Kraken is 150 bucks, I believe, when you sign up and fund the account. And that link is in the description. Last but not least, if you're looking for an ROI on your XRP, email me your name and number, good time to call you. I will try to catch up with the calls I have backlogged. We'll get to each and every one of you. Now, for the top 7 things in less than a minute that's happened that I would normally do in 20. Let's get down into it. The shutdown ends tonight, I believe. Government will reopen tomorrow. That's 1. Number 2, Canary Capital going live with it goes live at 5:30. They'll be open for trading at 9:30 in the morning. Absolutely love it. All 9 will be filed by November 29th. Epic's going to be so much fun to watch the inflows on that and outflows. And also number 3, Clarity Act is gaining speed. With or without the government being opened up, it could be signed, it could be finished by the end of this month. Someone say LFG on that one. And then also the Ripple bank license is inevitable. I actually could see that happening by the end of November, if no later than December 12th, but expect it by the end of November. It's going to be huge. And then number 5, December 1, we got quantitative easing that begins on December 1. Number 6, the rate cuts, that's December 10th. And last but not least, my favorite one is number 7. ISO 222 to be everyone fully on board in 10 days, November 22nd. Get out of town. I'm so excited. So to begin with, Jim, welcome. This is Jim Balzini, the director over at Caleb and Brown, marketing director. Jim, welcome aboard, and it's good to see you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me on board again, Rob. It's great to be here. As I said probably last time, I wish my background looked as nice as yours. I probably need to come over to where you're at and have a swim in the pool. But yeah, very excited to be here and chat about all things crypto.
Absolutely. And not only the pool, but there'll be a boat with a bigger name on it for you to visit as well when you get over here. So, and if you would, for our audience, if you would tell us a little bit about yourself and about Caleb and Brown.
Sure. Yeah. So a little bit about myself. I've been an avid crypto fan since 2017. I was studying a law degree at the time and became fascinated by smart contract functionality and just the fact that you could enter into contracts via code. Whereas at the time I was studying quite an archaic system where required third-party interaction. So that was my initial gateway into crypto, was through Ethereum, through smart contracts. But naturally just became an avid investor, but also a fan of the technology. And ever since then, I've been super passionate about this space. And I've been at Caleb and Brown now for quite a while and look after our partnership side of the business. So work really closely with great people like XRP007 here and a range of other great partners of ours, and work really closely with their communities to make sure that they're getting the best experience possible with us. In terms of what we do at Caleb and Brown, we can probably go into more detail, but the best way to explain it is that we provide a personalized white glove service through our brokerage model. And so every client that works with us gets a dedicated broker. That broker is there to essentially help that client throughout their entire crypto journey with us. So it's a really valuable service to have someone that is crypto native, can speak to you about your specific portfolio, your interests, your risk profile, your goals and ambitions in this space. And ultimately, we've been around since 2016, so we've been able to help so many people achieve their goals in crypto. But also, we see this space as something that's going to continue on for 30, 40, 50 years. So it's really setting up our clients to be the best investors they can be, but ultimately as informed as possible as well. So that's a little bit about what we do and my role here, but happy to take on more questions.
Absolutely. Well, we'll begin with those. This is from Rob from the Rob Report. He's asking, it says, when you move XRP, after I move XRP into Caleb and Brown, when you move it out, and let's say you move it out to your cold storage or to another exchange, is there a fee when you move that XRP to a cold storage or to another exchange?
So not on our end. So we don't charge anything for, that's what we refer to as the transferring of crypto. So if you're transferring crypto from an exchange, say to Caleb and Brown, there's no fee on our end. I can't speak for the exchanges. I'm not sure if there's a fee on their end. But if you're then also in that similar scenario, transferring those assets from Caleb and Brown to a cold wallet or just another wallet or exchange, there's no fees for that. We only ever charge a fee on the actual execution of a trade.
Okay, awesome. That is great news. And by the way, this comes in the comments as well. It says, how long does it take to get KYC and get up and running when you get on with Caleb and Brown?
It's a pretty quick process. Ultimately, it's a two-step process in terms of signing up, and it's completely free to make an account with Caleb Brown. So we have an initial, just quick sign-up page, which will just have your initial details of your name, your email, your phone number, etc. And then, we're legally required to obviously KYC all of our clients. So they go through that process in the second phase. As long as you have the relevant ID there applicable and ready to go, it can really get done quite instantly. Now, there are differences on whether you're onboarding as an individual or as an LLC or a trust. Sometimes the LLCs and trusts can take a little longer just because there's business documentation involved. But honestly, sometimes it can take as much as 6 minutes on a client's end to get their KYC process done. And then either it'll be instantly approved on our end or our onboarding team will try and facilitate it within 1 to 2 business days, we usually say.
Well, I take away 2 things from that, Jim, which is really kind of neat for our audience, because a lot of people that I talk to, they will be setting up a trust, as well as some of them will be setting up LLCs. I think many of them are doing LLCs first and then doing trusts on the back end. So I think that's fantastic news, because that LLC does give you that layer of protection. So that's really great to hear that. I didn't even think about that. And I also speak to my own end on KYC, is that I've known about Caleb and Brown for over 5 years, because I was a part of Kevin Cage's Patreon, and he was always talking about Caleb and Brown, always. And I felt like, oh, this year in Australia, it's going to take forever to get this KYC'd and set up. And some reason I had this stigma that it would just be like a really big hurdle to get over. Absolutely, it wasn't. It went so quick, so fast. I literally for myself, I think I got up and running KYC like within less than 48 hours. So, and then the next question comes in and says, how secure is your XRP when you custody it? Where do you custody it? And you talk about institutional grade custody.
Yeah, so when clients decide they want to custody their assets with us, firstly, we don't charge any fee for custody, and therefore we're not incentivized to custody on behalf of clients. So it's very much something we've set up because we've just seen over the years how many bad actors there are in this space, and that we've just found a lot of our clients don't necessarily want to deal with the stresses involved with custodying themselves. So we have an institutional grade cold storage solution for clients. It's developed through our partnership with Fireblocks. They are the preeminent custody solution provider in this space. And so when you custody your assets with us, everything's held in cold storage. We aren't lending those assets out, or they're not getting exposed to counterparty risk. And everything's accounted for 1-for-1. So it gives our clients peace of mind that, hey, if tomorrow every single client at Caleb & Brown wanted to withdraw those assets, firstly, we could facilitate that because all of the assets are accounted for, but also you're not going to be imposed with withdrawal limits and fees because we're not necessarily incentivized to hold your assets in custody. Now, obviously, we do so and we do so in a secure manner, but it's not like we charge custody fees or we're staking your assets or what have you, which means that it's very easy to withdraw them as well. So we offer that as a solution for clients. We very much encourage self-custody, but I'm also a big proponent of having diversity when it comes to your custody options. And so I speak truth in terms of I do it myself. So I have a hardware wallet, but I also hold a portion of my crypto assets with Caleb and Brown as well. So it's really up to the client and how they want to use our custody, but ultimately it's safe and institutional grade for those that do want to use it.
Now, is that cold storage? Would that the cold? I mean, with the custody, is that custody down in Australia or is it in a different place? And is it commingled all together in one bucket or is it segregated?
So segregated wallets, that's the first thing. So we're not commingling. Your wallet address is specific to you as the client, and they're segregated, so they're not commingled. And then firstly, the actual location of the assets, obviously it's in cold storage. Firebox is an American business, so they have centers all around the world. They actually, from a security perspective, don't actually disclose where they are, which makes sense. But it's not like the assets are held here in Australia and they're stuck here and, American clients can't receive them if something happens in Australia. That's something that I probably want to address really quickly is that, yes, we're headquartered in Australia. We have offices in the US now. A lot of our employees work in the US. And most of our clients, if you're a US client, you'll fall under our US entity, not our Australian entity. So yes, we started in Australia. And as you can tell from my accent, a few of us work in Australia, but certainly we're a US business. Anywhere from 80% of our clients are US based. And so you will fall under our US LLC, which obviously means you have all the rights and protections as a US citizen under that LLC as well.
That's outstanding. And also with each account, is it insured and how much and up to how much?
Yeah, so we have an insurance policy that's through Fireblocks. We don't personally or like as a business have an insurance policy. Now that may change in the future, especially with our recent acquisition with SwiftX. But ultimately, there's an insurance policy under Fireblocks. I don't know the exact amount that they offer, but certainly if anything was to happen on their end or there was a level of compromisation, clients would be protected under that policy. But again, we've never had any issues internally. Fireblocks have never had any issues. So clients have peace of mind that their assets are protected if they decide to custody with us.
Awesome. Awesome. And then when it comes to the markets that you service, I do know that once upon a time you service UK as well as Canada. I had a comment from Fat Wallet up in the comments said, will you reopen in the UK and when might that be? And also by the same token, I had another comment that came in from Germany that says, can he open up an account being in Germany? And do you have someone that speaks German if he were able to open up so he could converse?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's something that I'll provide the answer as of today. But this space is currently ever evolving on our end in terms of what markets do we service, what don't we? So in terms of the markets we're currently focusing on, it's the US, it's Australia, and it's New Zealand. Now within the US, we have the requisite licenses except for New York. But I can happily announce that we are actually now going to be in the process of applying for a BIT license. For those that aren't aware, New York has a very strict licensing regime in terms of getting a license to operate as a digital asset business there. It can take up to 2 years. So while I'll announce it today, unfortunately, it may take 2 years for us to get the license. It's just how long it takes through the New York government. But that's a market that no doubt we want to operate in again because we know it's a bit of a crypto hub, especially within America. So that's New York. And then the other market that I'll provide a bit of an update on is the UK. So the UK, we had to exit a few years ago, unfortunately, due to new laws there that made it very restrictive in terms of being able to promote crypto or promote a service within crypto. But that is a market that hopefully, I'd say probably within the next 6 to 12 months that we're hoping to open up again. Because again, that's a really large market for us. We had a lot of clients based in the UK and had to make a difficult decision to leave that market. So they're probably the main two. Yeah. In terms of the German client and Europe, unfortunately, it's a wait and see for us right now. We have been accepting German clients in Europe in general, but just the nature of our service in that it's very customer facing intensive. It requires our brokers to be, build relationships with our clients, but spend a lot of time with them. We don't really want to spread ourselves too thin, because ultimately that's where the service quality will be reduced. So unfortunately, I don't have an update long-term on Europe at this stage. Now, please keep up to date via your broker to ensure you're up to date. But at this stage, those three markets I mentioned before are our main areas of focus.
Oh, that's really great news. Just knowing that you guys are moving in the direction towards getting your U.S. bank license, for example, in New York. I mean, your New York bank license is, I know personally from a lot of people I've spoken with, that will just go a long way. Just knowing that you're headed in that direction, understanding that, it could take up to 2 years, but I think that's an excellent move, and one that will actually help foster confidence and people like saying, these guys have that long-term vision, which is what you guys are executing quite well. And also in the comments, this is from Edward, says, are you offering a loan to value against XRP for real estate? That's an interesting one.
Oh, real estate's very interesting. Probably not on real estate at this stage. In terms of what we do as a business, we're purely just a spot platform. So that means you can just buy out spot. We store over 250 assets, so you can get exposure to quite a few. Now, is that to say that we're always going to stay spot? Probably not. We understand that this is an innovative space, but we also understand what our clients want is ever evolving. And part of that is being able to earn yield on their assets, lend them out. A lot of them want exposure to derivative products, or they want to put on leverage, as we've seen can be a double-edged sword, obviously. So as a business, you mentioned at the start, look, we're doing our due diligence right now, especially on the staking and lending side. We are never going to rush into any decision. We want to do our due diligence. We'll do our research. We never want to offer something that's going to compromise the security element of everything that we do. That's why we've lasted for so long and never had any issues, is that we take our time with these things. So all of those advancements that are happening in crypto and the solutions that we can provide, we're exploring, and I have no doubt that we'll offer for our clients in the future. It may just take a little longer than some other services and platforms, because we're going to take our time to make sure that the solution is right for our clients.
I've always said personally for myself, actually, for one, I think the landscape of this space is going to change dramatically once we have that Clarity Act passed here in the United States when it comes to the rules and regulations of the road. And so I think that will actually, and then personally for myself, is like, I crossed this Rubicon where I said, you know what, I'd rather have 98% of all my XRP than have 100% of nothing and not even get an ROI until these regulations come in and the rules of the road and all that. It's like, I'd rather just sit on my hands until we knew what the future was going to hold with this after regulations and clarity. So for me, it's an easy trade-off to say, if I get it, if it takes 6 months to get it, that's fine. If it takes a little longer, I'm fine with that. Just to have be able to sleep at night, knowing that my XRP is in good hands, being custody. And so, you answered my question. That was about the ROI and the yield. And so that was like the next one I was going to get to get to. And we answered the bank license. And then this is a really interesting one that happened today, being that BitGo, the exchange, actually ran out of XRP early this morning. And the result was it was actually, let's see, it says the result was that it was actually having failed payments. And that's, something we've always talked about on this space about with different exchanges, not your keys, not your crypto. A lot of them, they're commingled. Anytime you have a tag, if you send to an address and there's a room for a tag, that usually means that it's in a big bucket and there's a little tag on there that says, hey, it belongs to Rob, right? And then also in the same breath, I know actually personally 2 of my XRP holders and friends actually had a Coinbase account, of which their accounts were actually frozen. And so and they were pretty sizable amounts. One was 200,000 XRP and the other one's 50,000 XRP. Can you comment on that? And, what makes you guys different when it comes to like stuff like this happening? And when we, as I like to say, when we enter the banana zone and we have stuff just kind of crazy with, exchanges being overloaded about, one, this thing about running out XRP, and then 2, just being able to execute a trade when we do hit that banana zone.
Yeah, sure. So, I can't speak to BitGo and Coinbase and sort of their internal operations, but I can speak towards how we source liquidity, because I think it's important especially for people in the XRP space to be aware of. So we're not a market maker, and usually most exchanges are. Again, I don't know if BitGo is, but ultimately as a market maker, that means they have their own liquidity pool, and that's where they source the liquidity through that, which is great for a lot of reasons, but it can also mean in certain scenarios that they're a single point of failure, especially if there's significant demand, which is then when you're starting to incur significant hidden costs, things like spread and slippage, because they only have one source of liquidity. Whereas the benefit of Caleb and Brown, and something that we've really fine-tuned through a range of partnerships over the years, is our liquidity options. We aren't a market maker, so we source our liquidity from a whole range of different sources. So OTC desks, DEX, centralized exchanges, and it ultimately means we don't have a single point of failure, but it means for clients, you're getting the best exposure in terms of liquidity within the market to get the best prices possible. So look, XRP is our largest held asset for clients. We can source it from a whole range of different liquidity providers. And ultimately, it means for our XRP holders specifically, they're getting the best price possible when it comes time to buying and when it comes time to selling. The best example that I give is that mass liquidation event we saw about a month ago now, where unfortunately we saw a lot of people on Twitter say they couldn't even get into their accounts to make trades to buy the dip. We had many clients that were able to not only enter into their portal, but also just do trades through their broker through emailing them. And we're able to get really great prices on XRP because simply we had the liquidity available. So liquidity is one of those things that I think a lot of investors don't quite understand or understand how it works and how then it's priced in the back end when it comes to spreads. But ultimately with us, we're incredibly mature as a business, and we are always able to source the best liquidity in market for the assets that we store. And that's why we don't hold 1,000 different assets. We hold over 250, but we're confident we can pull the liquidity for them for clients.
That's amazing. And the next question was, how much can you withdraw in a day? Is there a limit?
No limits, no limits. And that's probably the other really big selling point for, especially a lot of our clients that are high net worth and are looking to withdraw, 6 figures, 7 figures at a time. They don't want to have to go through an exchange where not only are they going to be limited to say 20K a day, they're also going to get charged every time they do that. Having gone through that experience of trying to off ramp before in the past, once you're ready to withdraw that to say a bank account, you want that asset in your bank account. You don't want the stress involved of having to go through a withdrawal every day. For some people, it can take up to months to get all of those assets off. So for Caleb and Brown, no, we'll do it all in one go, which is really valuable for our high net worth clients that are moving, over $1 million in a day. We'll process that for them. We'll work really closely with our bank and their bank as well to make sure that process is seamless as possible. But the benefit of the personalized experience and having that broker is that if there is a delay or something goes wrong, you can actually call your broker and get an update from them to see what's happening. So that speaks to the personalized service of what we offer, is that you always have someone to call in any scenario with your account, whether that's on-ramping, making trades, or when that time comes to withdraw to your bank account.
That's amazing. And the last one we have is from Dana out in beautiful Orange County. Are you going to be at XRP Vegas this year in May?
I just saw the tickets come out for that and was speaking to Jake, our CCO, about it. Look, we had a great time last year. We sponsored the event. Obviously, Rob, you and I caught up, which was great. But we caught up with a range of different clients all around the world, not just within the US. And that's really our service to a T. We want to meet more of our clients face to face. That's why we have an office now in the US. So we haven't actually confirmed that we're sponsoring yet, but I would say it's a very, very good chance that we will be there. I'm sure I'll be there individually as well. So it'll be great to meet all of you, and hopefully you can all make it.
Absolutely. And then in a minute, in 1 minute or so, or 2 minutes or less, can you tell me what your updates are for Q4 and Q1, what you might be able to update that you have going forward in the next 3 to 6 months?
Sure. Yeah, I gave a bit of an update before, but I think the biggest update on our end is that just more and more of our resources and focus is moving towards the US. So as I mentioned before, we operate in all states within the US except for New York. We're hoping that will change within the future, hopefully sooner rather than later. But the main update is that, look, our Fort Lauderdale office is up and running. We've actually had to expand and move offices just because of how many people are now moving to that office and how many clients are coming in and seeing us. So that's a really great, a great little update that more of our key resources here in Melbourne are actually going to move to the US. hopefully I might be one of them next year. But the other key update is that we've just started to slowly open up our office within the West Coast as well. So we're in the East Coast, we're in the West Coast. So they're the big main updates, is that we're pivoting all of our focus and attention towards the US. And we have our partner in SwiftX to really help with that in terms of providing more budget around marketing, around the product offerings that we can serve our clients with. So that's really the main update is our focus and expansion towards the US.
Awesome. And Jim, I tell you, it's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege once again to have you on this channel. Really appreciate you. So for taking the time to come and visit with us.
No worries. Thanks for having me on, Rob. And as I always extend towards the end of these calls, if anyone has any further questions, you can reach out to me via my Twitter at Jimmy_Baz, or you can also email me at jim@calebrown.com. I'm sure we'll have the link in the description of this video, Rob, but if you're eager to sign up, it's completely free to do so. Make sure you use Rob's link because you'll get priority access to a broker. It also allows us to know that you've come from this community. It means, we know that you've come from a good man in Rob. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any further questions, and thanks for having me on, Rob.
You're quite welcome. And Jim, we don't know if you're going to be at XRP Vegas in May, but one thing I can tell you is that by that time, we're all going to need a bigger boat. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.